You could try to play it, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain, pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane, pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less, you check as I'm chess, what's happening next, yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson, he got a new engine from pain, it's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession. All in his possession, you got their attention. I leave an impression and take a redemption. Just kill, no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression, You could try to play it, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me. So he's been looking for somebody who could save him, instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them.
What's up, dudes? Welcome back to another episode of the ElCamino. As you can see, we're still digging into the sheet metal in the interior, making sure all the bead rolling is getting good and getting done. It's a totally new technique, so I'm still working at it, still trying to figure it out really and try to perfect it. On the previous video, I kind of got into detail how it works and how you do it. So in this one, we're just gonna kind of enjoy the ride. So I'm bending out these pieces and finishing off the other side of the interior. Last video, we got the driver's side done. The idea is to seal off the firewall, make it strong so that if anything goes wrong in the engine compartment, nothing's coming through, no oils, no parts, no fluid, no flames, no fire, hopefully keeping everybody inside safe. The idea behind the bead roll is not only to make it look cool, but it kind of helps out with the rigidity of it, and I'm hoping that once it's all welded into place, because this is not your traditional inside of a floor of a 71 ElCamino, this one's been all chopped up and framed. So basically I'm doing my bead rolling and I'm dropping these slabs of sheet metal right inside. So what I'm hoping, the sheet metal stays nice and tight and it doesn't rattle with the vibrations of the car, because I'm sure this thing's gonna do a lot of rumbling and rattling. It's a 6.0, it's gonna be run straight pipe probably. Gotta make it kind of strong and make it kind of look good. So the bead rolls, I'm hoping that it stays rigid enough that even if a little weld pops off here and there, it's gonna stay solid, it's gonna stay down. It's not gonna shake, rattle, and roll. It's not gonna make a whole bunch of unnecessary noise, because that'll just drive you right up the wall right off the bat. So digging in here, again, I still feel almost, now that I'm watching these videos, I feel like I'm digging a little too deep on those beads. That one turned out pretty cool. It's deep enough so that it's very, very pronounced. I wanted to make sure that you saw it. Since I'm going through all the work of bead rolling it, I want it to be noticed, even though it's going to be in a lot of places that'll be hidden by other parts. Example, the floorboard's mostly hidden up by the seats. I'm probably going to have some sort of foot pegboard so you can put your feet on it. Reason being, so you can push yourself into the back of the car, just like a dead pedal kind of does. So the driver's side is going to have one built. The idea behind a dead pedal is you push yourself into the seat with your leg and you keep yourself nice and steady. So the driver's seat is adjustable. If you're too short to reach the dead pedal, you're too short to reach the pedals, you're gonna move that seat up, everything's gonna be in range. The problem I have on the passenger side is that I didn't make that seat movable, because number one, it's not necessary. Number two, it's way easier just to have a seat that bolts straight up to the floor. And number three, it's an ElCamino, so it's kind of like a pickup truck where I'm very concerned about the balance. Having the passenger seat mounted all the way back as far as it can go ensures that every time somebody's in there, whether they weigh 80 pounds or 280 pounds, that weight is going to be as far back in the cab as possible, hopefully reaching some sort of balance with this car, which is why, if you notice, the front end's been all changed, it's been altered. The motor is actually moved back 8.5 inches, motor and transmission. Totally undid my firewall, had no use for that, had to redo. That's why I'm redoing all these floors and these panels and the transmission tunnel and everything else, so that it all fits properly. I'm gonna have to get a drive shaft made, but that's gonna come much later. Sorry, I'm getting bothered here about my buddy. This is Midget. Midget, say hi. Good, whoa. So, moving on, I'm using that little hammer to push the metal down so that I don't burn my fingers when I'm welding it. And every time you see this flap disc come out, you can pretty much guarantee that all I'm really doing is cleaning up that metal to make sure that it's got a good solid place to ground and to weld onto. key point, especially when you're working with sheet metal, which is really thin, is everything's got to be really clean so that you can get that good contact right away, put in good welds, because if it's rusty and nasty, it's going to start splattering and sparking and popping, and eventually you're going to end up with holes and everything, and then it becomes really easy to burn through your sheet metal because you're already cranking up your heat, trying to, ow, dude, okay, go get down, let go of me, let go of me, I bit my ear. So, and then it gets back to what you see here again, which you've seen in previous videos many times, is every time I'm trying to fit something like this, it's totally custom. There's no templates, there's nothing pre-made, there's no real way to know exactly how to put it, how to cut it. So I made templates best I could, and now it's just test fit, trim it, test fit, trim, back and forth, and figure out everything fits, and then lay some beads into it, make it all good and solid before it gets locked down and gets welded in place for all of eternity. The floor being a bigger spot, there's more room to play. It's easier to lay down these beads. They look really cool because they're longer, they're more precise, much easier to do. But the problem, again, like I mentioned in the previous video, is the clearance inside the mouth of the clamp for the bead roller. I'm hoping one day we can make a custom one, maybe have it electric so it's much easier to manage, but have it much bigger so you can do full sheets of, I think the biggest sheet you could probably do in there is maybe 2 feet all the way around if you get really technical and really plan ahead. So I'd like to get one that you can go like 4 feet in there. You can put a pretty big sheet, because hopefully in the future we're gonna have bigger projects and bigger need for bigger stuff. So hope you liking that idea. I'm loving it. So here we go with the floor, making sure that's all locked in. And like I mentioned before, this is probably not going to be so obvious, this part, maybe more than what's underneath the seat. But this part, I was saying, I didn't even finish what I was saying before. So the idea behind having that passenger seat, that it's all the way back and solid, then it gives, if you're a shorter person, you can't use the dead pedal idea. You can't push your feet up against the floor to keep you stable inside the car and enjoying the ride and stop you from shaking around. So what might cover up that floor is I will make a foot panel, a kick panel kind of deal that you can throw your feet on. You can push yourself back in the seat, and because the seat's not adjustable, that will have to be adjustable. I have an idea. I have some rails. That looked weird. I'm probably going to be able to work out something pretty cool, make my own design sort of deal, foot panel. It's going to be really rad. It's going to be another custom fab thing, but that's something we'll get into later, because that's going to be like a finishing touch kind of deal, which I'm looking really forward to, by the way. We got a lot of video to go through, but the ElCamino is much further than what you see right here, so it's going to be rad as hell. Now, fitting in the pieces for the transmission tunnel, these are going to be a piece on each side and a piece on top. Originally, I was going to make the piece come out sort of like I could take them all off, but I think I'm just going to use that for the top half, and that'll just make it easier to pull the motor in and out of the ElCamino without having to worry about banging up the top of the trans tunnel with the shifter on it, because you don't want to have to take too much apart on your transmission just to do like a motor swap or pull out all your stuff to work on it. It's a race car, so it's probably going to happen very often. Bead rolling this piece here, I really did not mean for that to turn out looking like a big dick, but it did, and we'll just laugh at it, and it's pretty funny. It's on the passenger side, so everybody's going to get to enjoy it. So putting that piece in, on these pieces I did the bead roll going on the inside because of the way the thing is framed. It fits a little bit better inside, it gives a little bit of clearance. There is room inside that transmission tunnel. There's room to add a little bit of pieces. It's not too tight on every corner, but with it going in, it sort of gives a bit more leg room. It gives you a spot to put your leg. I'm thinking that it clears the frame really nicely, and it's just the strongest and nicest way it could have been done. Moving on to the driver's side, it's the same thing. The difference on the driver's side floor is that I have a bit of a challenge about that transmission bracket, where the passenger side I was able to leave it straight across. The floor is a little bit higher on the passenger side, and the reason for that is I'm going to be passing a lot of stuff on that side, probably example the coolant hoses, because I'm doing a rear mount radiator and a bunch of other stuff that needs to get to the back, maybe some electronic stuff. That's going to pass on the passenger side, maybe the exhaust parts, who knows. The driver's side, I put it way low, as low as it can go, and the idea was that I needed to accommodate myself. I'm about 6'2". I'm a big guy. I need a lot of room inside that car. So I put the floor as low as I could possibly go. It's actually level with the bottom of the truck, so if it bottoms out, I'm going to feel a bit of vibration on my feet. But that's why everything is lower on the driver's side. Now the seat, everything is going to be adjustable, like I said, and when the seat moves forward, it also moves up, giving the driver good visibility over top of the dash. Compared to how it's configured right now, I'm going to have to redo the seat bracket a little bit. I'm just going to have to lift it a little higher, but it's all going to work out good. Here I'm spot welding the sheet metal on there. It looked pretty trashy because I was working with a new spool that was jamming up my gun. But anyways, it's on there to make everything fit. I'm gonna have to clean it up. I'm gonna have to grind down those welds a little bit and make it all look good. There you can see I was working on the top half of that transmission tunnel. That's gonna come later because it's a little more technical. I still got a few things to figure out, where that shifter's gonna line up. I have to make the bracket for my e-brake and everything else like that. So instead of wasting time trying to figure that out right at this exact moment, I move on to the exterior. I recently, not long ago, chopped that whole front off of that, the whole cowl of the firewall, the ElCamino. It's all gone because, like I said, the motor and trans have moved back about 8.5 inches. I think it's 8.6 to be exact. But that left me with a big gaping hole in the front of the firewall where pretty much everything used to be. I lost my brackets that hold on the fenders and that holds the hood. There's not too much to go for there, but the important part was that I kept the door hinge location and all that, so that everything's going to bolt in, it's going to line up, and those body lines should all go together still. That's going to take some massaging and some fitting, but it worked out. So putting these exterior parts on is, again, not only for aesthetics, to make it look cool because it looks much nicer with fresh metal there. That bead roll makes it look kind of cool, kind of professional, but these pieces also go right across and they're tied into the bracket that I made that boxed off the entire firewall, which keeps everything out of the interior of the truck and keeps everything that's going to be dangerous away from the driver and the passenger. So I'm just making sure I can fit this in, kind of molding in a little bit. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit ugly, but like I keep saying, that's the whole idea behind this. It's a project car, it's a race car, it's a track car. It's not for the street, it's not for a collector. It's a party car, it's something to have fun with. So we just build it best we can and kind of let nothing get in your way. If something's not working, just figure out another way around it. There's always a way, there's always a solution. You might not get it right away, you know, take a step back. Take a deep breath, maybe sleep it off, who knows. Just keep rolling, get back into it, don't ever quit, just find a way around it. So here we're doing the front end, putting that in, welded in, just like the other side. These originally, I tried to make them in one piece, but with the bead roller, it didn't exactly give me what I needed, and it made it a little bit tougher to get everything to fit exactly, because halfway down the frame of that firewall, the boxed in part in the front, I kind of make it go different angles. It goes down straighter near the bottom, where it kind of turns in on the top. In the end, there's no, I guess besides the way it looks, there's no real purpose for having those angles, but I was just following the stock firewall and where everything fit together, trying to make this thing structurally easy to work on and nice and open and good and free. So here doing a freehand molding, doing a little bit of bending, trusty hammer. You can always smash and mold stuff into place. That's the best part about metal. You just beat it to submission and make it do what you want it to do and just mold it. So doing the other side, the little panels on the bottom, it's a little more tricky because you can see I'm kind of covering up a bunch of rust right there, but we're going to probably attack that from another angle one day. With this thing, I want to get this thing running, rocking and rolling. It ain't going to be pretty, but it's going to move, it's going to do some cool stuff. So the first thing to do is just to get it running. Maybe later on, if it turns into something that everybody enjoys and it's a really cool machine, yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll make it perfect. But till then, this is like Mad Max Fury Road kind of stuff going on here. So it's the ultimate drift party car. I'm gonna try lapping with it first before I go out and drift. Probably dial it in, try to tune it. Maybe it'll make a cool lapping car. Who knows? We'll put some aero on it, something like that. We got a few guys that are working on that and checking things out. We got some ideas and want to come hang out and do it. So that could be something really fun. But until then, we just got to keep on moving, keep building this thing. So that's pretty much what you know about bead rolling now. You get to see it. And thank you guys so much for sticking around. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you next time with a new video. Peace out, boys. Later.